What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports Minute. I am Ace, and of course, tonight I am joined by my co host for the evening, none other than J Mac. J Mac, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Well, not too bad. Not too bad.
All right, well, tonight we do have some fun topics for you again. For anybody who's wondering about, the Wheel of Doom, when we actually drop the standings on that, where everyone is sitting. So far, we're only 5 games into the season, so we haven't had a full even weeks of games yet. So because of that, we're going to wait until the next week until we actually start to calculate the standings for the Wheel of Doom. So that way you'll actually be able to see the very, very first official week of where everyone's going to sit in the standings. But to go ahead and start out with you for the evening, first thing is that I briefly kind of wanted to touch on. I think that this is a big deal. So J-Mac, as you probably saw, and I know that this was like a last second thing, as you probably saw, that Tiger Woods decided to step away from golf and receive treatment. Now, I know that when people are talking about, kind of making a little bit of a joke about it. Well, the thing is at least Tiger Woods noticed that he has a problem, and that because of that, he's like, hey, I need to step away and get my health right, and I need to do right by my family. So congratulations for Tiger Woods for realizing that, yes, he does need to get the help that he does need. So, J-Mac, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, some situations in which you can't get help on. Yeah, I mean, you can't get help until you're ready. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I'm
It has
glad
to
that
be
Tiger
you.
Woods. Yeah,
Has to be you. Has to be your decision.
yeah, but I'm just glad that Tiger Woods was realizing that he needed the help, and he chose to. Okay, yep, I'm gonna get the treatment that I need. So I'm so glad that he's willing to do that. So congratulations for Tiger Woods for realizing that you need the help, and you're going to get the help. Okay, jumping into the quick recap from NASCAR this past weekend. This was actually at Martinsville. Um, when it came to Martinsville, Chase Elliott ended up winning. He started 10th. He led 85 laps. However, a majority of the race was actually led by Denny Hamlin, who led, and this is a crazy stat here. So Denny Hamlin led 292 laps of the race. The next closest guy was Chase Elliott, who won the race, who led 85 laps. So that's how much Denny Hamlin actually dominated in the race. But guess what? It's like it says, it doesn't matter how many laps you lead, it's where you finish at the end of the race. And unfortunately, Chase Elliott was able to get the victory, take the checkered flag, and Denny Hamlin was not. So, just really, really quick, I know you're not a big NASCAR guy, but I needed to ask you this question from somebody sitting on the outside, kind of looking in perspective, since you don't really, watch a lot of the races and stuff. But so how they used to have it was, and they did this for several years, and then they found out this doesn't work. So essentially what they did was they had this rule that they said if a driver won a race, he automatically qualified to enter the playoffs that season in a race. This year, however, they changed it and said, nope, just because you win a race does not mean that you automatically qualify for the playoffs. You now have to be a top 16 driver and earn those points to be able to get in the playoffs. So, J-Mac, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think NASCAR did right by going away from the win and in, or do you think they should have kept, if you win, you automatically get a bid in the playoffs?
I mean, kind of goes off. It needs to go off, the point system, whatever they decide for the point system. That's you take a winning a race out of that doesn't mean anything, then that's the way it should be. I'm okay with it.
Well, no, so I was just asking because if you were a driver in NASCAR and you want to race, do you feel like, as if you were the driver, would you feel like, hey, I want to race, so I've now earned my way into a playoff? Or as a driver, would you understand and say, you know what, just because I won, I should still need to earn all those extra points?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that from both sides. Um, you got to earn it. Like you can win what? You can win one and then finish 25th in every other race and make the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah, and you would have been in. Yeah.
That's no. It's better. It's better the way it is.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to make sure that we were clear there, because I did state that too. I did state that I hated how if you won a race, you were automatically in. I did not like it. And so when they decided to change it back to points, I'm like, now we're on the right track. Because if you look at the NFL, if you look at the NBA, if you look at MLB, if you look at NHL, just because you win a game doesn't automatically put you in the playoffs. No, it's like, oh no, you have this whole season to play. Like, just because you win, we're like, oh, okay, so you won week 1 in the NFL. Oh, so that puts you in the playoffs? No. So I'm completely okay with how NASCAR decided to change that back to the point system. I think it makes everything a whole lot better, and I think it definitely raises the competition.
Yeah.
Okay, so going into our next conversation of the evening, we are going to talk about the NBA. And I know J-Mac, I know myself, and I know you. I know right now we're pretty excited about it. And the reason why is because if you look at the NBA season right now, I know my Pistons are sitting in first place, but the Celtics are right on their heels. We have a magic number of 3. If we can get 3 more wins, we will clinch the number 1. However, you look at the Spurs, and they're actually on the heels. So the Spurs are sitting in the number 2 seed right now. They're right on the heels of the Thunder. Now, I mean, they're close. They're like 4 games back of the Thunder at this point in time. But if I was to ask you at the beginning of the season and say, J-Mac, where do you think your Spurs are going to be this late in the season? Do you think, in all honesty, without being biased, do you think that you could have sat here and said, yeah, my Spurs are going to be sitting in the 2 seed?
No, I mean, I said it before. I had them pegged for about 40, 43 wins for the season before the season started. I thought it was going to be somewhere between like 8 and 10. I thought we'd be in the play-in in the West. So, I mean, they still have an outside chance of winning. There's 7 games left with 57 wins. So, I mean, they have an outside chance. They win them all at 64 wins for the season. That's way more than what I would have predicted.
Right. That's almost 20 more wins than you would have predicted on the season. So even though the Spurs are a very, very young team, so let's say the Spurs were to the Spurs are probably going to be in the 2 seed, because the Thunder will probably end up being 1. It's going to be tough for the Spurs to catch them, even though they're right on the heels. But let's say when the playoffs start, the Spurs, even though they're a young team, they have beaten some good teams this season. So it's not like they're only beating bad teams. They're actually beating good teams. So with that being said, do you think that your Spurs are good enough to make a deep playoff run?
I do. They have they're 4-1 this year against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So 4 of the Thunder's losses have been to San Antonio. So I mean that's a good omen going into the playoffs. The only teams they've struggled against this year are all in the Eastern Conference. I think Cleveland, they were 1-2, and Miami they were 1-2 against. But everyone else, I mean, everyone else they have a winning record against. And like I said, especially with the Thunder, they're 4-1 against the Thunder. So in a 7-game series, I think they can. I think they can definitely come out and win 4 games.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that would definitely be a heck of a series. Without a shadow of a doubt, that would be. Um, I give a lot of credit to Wimby. Like, and the only reason I'm saying that is because people knew Wimby was going to be good. People talked about how he was like the next big thing. I don't think that they thought that Wimby was going to be able to turn around the Spurs this quick. Like, it was like that quick, and the Spurs turned around. Now, I know people are talking about, Wimby, but again, it's not. And I know I saw that look when I said that because I said Wimby, and so let me retract just a little bit. I didn't mean just Wimby; it's a team effort, but Wimby has done a lot for the Spurs.
Well, for sure, but Casil's in there too, and really, it's been a collaborative effort. Yeah, it's building around one player. Wimby's a freak. We all know that. But it's also been the supporting cast. So I don't want to take anything away from the other guys that have. It goes back in the NBA to Wimby's. I believe he's averaging around 6 assists a game. Well, you can't get an assist if a guy doesn't score. So you have to be someone else has to be able to make shots too for him to get the assists. Now the blocks, I mean, the blocks are unheard of. It's an unreal number with blocks. He's going to surpass Tim Duncan at this point, 7 or 8 years into his career. So, dude's just a freak when it comes to blocking shots.
Yeah, and I know like it's so early in his career, and I know you're throwing out the name of like Tim Duncan. I get it. Does that kind of, in a way, does that kind of like, oh, I'm concerned a little bit because I'm throwing out Tim Duncan this early in Wimby's career?
Well, as a lifelong Spurs fan, I guess I can say, the same thing happened when you had David Robinson back in the day. Everyone's like, well, Tim Duncan could be better than him, and you're like, no, nobody can be better than David Robinson, and then Tim Duncan was better than him. So now you're throwing Wimby out there that might end up having a better career than Tim Duncan. Having lived it before, it hurts to say, but all the signs point that it's probably true.
Yeah, and I know how much of a fan you are of Tim Duncan's, because if I remember, you did say that Tim Duncan was your favorite Spurs player of all time. If I remember, I could be wrong.
It's not even close. I mean, you go back to they won 5 championships, 99 to 2014. They won 5 championships in 14 seasons. Everyone's like, that's not a lot. I'm like, that's almost every other year that they won a championship. And only one of those was, well, Tim Duncan was there for all 5. And then the last 4 was Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. So look at it that way. Who's going to be the next big 3 there? And all the signs are pointing towards we have the team to do it again. So
yeah, you can make that deep run, maybe start a dynasty. Who knows? But going on the other side of it, with me being a Pistons fan and realizing, hey, the Pistons right now, we're sitting in first. We're 4.5 in front of Celtics. Our magic number's 3 to be able to clinch the number 1 seed. And I will be with you on this too and tell you, like, forever, I know, you've always given me a hard time about the Pistons, being a Pistons fan. And then every year, I've kind of joked around and been like, what, this is our year. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to be a top 4 a top 4 team. This year going into it, I'm like, okay, so I was like, there was a lot of roster moves that really, really helped. You had Duncan Robinson, you had Karis LeVert. So with these moves that the Pistons have been making, I was like, I was kind of with you on that, to where I'm like, well, maybe they'll win about 41 games, but I did not foresee the Pistons being this good. Now, what I will give the Pistons props for is that, the last 8 games, they've had to do this without the superstar in Cade Cunningham, because he's been out with a collapsed lung. So with that, it's like, that to me, when your superstar gets hurt, that shows me what type of team you are. If you can come in and continue to win without your superstar, that shows something. Like Karis LeVert, even though he hasn't put up the numbers, he's been that leader in the locker room that simply came out and said, hey guys, even though Kate is out, like, we still have to do our job. You have to be ready. Whenever your number's called, you have to go out there and do it. And they have been able to do it. However, I will say, even though I do want them to make a deep run, there are still some concerns that I have. Yes, they have beaten some good teams. For whatever it is, though, they've struggled against the Spurs this year. But if they played the Spurs, they wouldn't even have to play them until the NBA championship. So I'm not too worried about that. The Celtics right now, the Celtics are a hot team. Well, because Tatum came back. So once Tatum was back, they started going on this freaking tear. The Knicks are a good team. So teams like that right now, they do concern me. Do I hope they can make a deep playoff run? Absolutely. Do I? I don't know. My biggest concern is that the Pistons are still a young team, and that's the reason why it scares me. Is when you're a young team, you don't have a lot of playoff experience. Who's going to be that guy that is going to be able to lead you in the playoffs? I know Cade's been there. He's been there. They lost last year against the Knicks. But I don't know if 1 year is going to be enough experience when you start coming up against, a team like the Celtics who have won the NBA championship. When you go up against a team like the Cavaliers, who've gotten better since they went and got Harden. So, J-Mac, what's your thoughts on that about a young team entering the NBA playoffs?
It's everything you said. It comes down to experience. Who makes the play in the end? So you just have to have someone step up. That's really what it comes down to. Self-admittedly, I don't watch a lot of the excuse me. I don't watch a lot of the regular season NBA anymore, so I can't point to any particular things I've watched or things that I've seen in that, but I watch enough to know that if you go cold from the 3-point line, you're probably not winning many games in a series. So you just hope that they can still hit their 3-pointers and their free throws, because that's really what's going to win you games in the end. If you're not going well on those, so you just hope someone can step up. You hope you can get the one of the veterans that can make a couple shots at the end or make a good defensive play. Yeah,
and let me throw this stat out there, a stat that you may not know very much. The Pistons this year are 28th in the NBA in 3-point shooting. They're sitting in first, but they're 28th in the NBA in 3-point shooting. Behind Cunningham, they don't have much of 3-point shooting. They have Tobias Harris, who can hit threes. Karis LeVert can he doesn't. He might shoot three or four a game, and he might make 1 or 2. You have Tobias Harris that can, but other than that, it's like you're Tobias, Duncan Robinson. He can, but they're not going to get you a bunch of threes a game, and that's where Cade comes into play. But when you're sitting at 28th in the NBA in 3-point shooting, Is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough to come in and beat the teams that are deep with 3-point shooting?
Well, you look at who you're potentially going to play in the playoffs at some point, and I know you wouldn't probably meet the Celtics until the Eastern Conference Finals, but even if you look before that, I mean, you got other teams that can shoot the three and can score points and can get on a run. And 7 games, I mean, anything can happen. So, you know, um, it's rough. I'm not saying they don't have a chance. I think it would be really hard. The Eastern Conference is not what the Western Conference is. The Eastern Conference, there's usually a more clumped together as far as the teams go. And I think to make a run through all of those teams when you're a young team and you're shooting 20th in the league in 3-pointers, to try to go out and win 4 out of 7 against, against a Boston and a Cleveland and it just doing that like back to back and New York and the Knicks. So you're talking about 3 potential teams that you're going to have to beat to get to the finals, and you're going to have to beat all of them. I just think that's a rough task to ask of a young team.
And I do want to throw out too that the Atlanta Hawks have been one of the hottest teams in the NBA since the All-Star break. So and so the Atlanta Hawks are a team that concerns me too. Just when they started trading away players, I'm like, oh, the Hawks have given up, and it's like, yeah, not so much. Because like nobody saw. There's been so many people that were talking about how nobody saw the Hawks this late in the season this year sitting at number 5. There was no way. Nobody saw that coming. But of course, the teams that are above them, when you watch, it's like, well, you have the Pistons ahead of them. They're a good team. You have the Celtics. Obviously, they're good. And then, of course, you have the Knicks. They're a good team. And then you have the Cavaliers. So those are the four top teams that are over the Hawks. And so it's like when you look at that, it's like, okay, those 4 teams I could see there. But the Hawks I did not see as a 5. But we know as of right now, so we know all the teams that are eliminated, and we know where all the teams sit at right now. So when you look at the Eastern Conference, you have the Pistons in 1, the Celtics in 2, the Knicks in 3, the Cavaliers in 4, the Hawks in 5, and the Raptors in 6. Now, when it comes to the Hawks and the Raptors, they're not, even though they're sitting at 5 and 6, they're still not guaranteed to be in 5 and 6, because the teams that are still technically sitting in the play-in games, they're only either a game and a half or 2 games or even 3 games behind them. So you have the Sixers that are sitting in the 7 seed as a play-in, the Magic that are sitting as an 8 seed in the play-in, and then you have the Heat that are sitting at a 9 seed in the play-in, and then the Hornets that are sitting at a 10 seed in the play-in. So from 5 down to 10, you have anywhere from a 1 game to a 3 game. And so that's where I'm like, if you're 5 or 6, you're not guaranteed to sit and to stay in 5 and 6. You could still end up having to be in a play-in game.
Yeah, very much so.
And then you look at the Western Conference. You have the Thunder in 1, the Spurs in 2, the Lakers in 3, the Nuggets in 4, the Timberwolves in 5, the Rockets in 6, the Suns in 7. I will say the Suns sitting in 7. I would say I didn't even see them being in the play-in game at this point in time. I really didn't. The Clippers in 8. Once the Clippers got rid of Harden, I'm like, oh, the Clippers just gave up too. Well, guess what? They still have freaking Kawhi, and Kawhi still got him in a play-in game, even though they started so bad. It sounds like you're kind of laughing about that.
I'm laughing like Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, yeah, because Kawhi still got him there after the James Harden trade. I'm like, they gave up, but I guess not so much. And then the Blazers and the Warriors are guaranteed that they can only be in a play-in game. And the Blazers are at 9. And the Warriors, can you believe the Warriors of all teams are sitting at a 10? A
You look at the
freaking 10.
yeah. But you look at the other teams in the Western Conference. I mean, the only one surprising in all that thing is the Suns. The only real team that worries me in the Western Conference, as far as it goes with San Antonio, I would never want to play the Nuggets. Jokic. I don't even know what to say. Like, that guy could go off for 50, 10, and 10 any night and destroy your team. So that'd be a tough 7-game series. The Lakers don't worry me. We've handled OKC this year, but it's still going to be a good series if it's 7 games. So, yeah, like I said, the Nuggets are a team to worry about, but really you got like the Nuggets, the Nuggets, and like I said, OKC really in a 7-game series. The other teams I'm not too concerned with.
Because I do agree with you on Jokic, though. If Jokic gets hot, man, it's like you can be in for a long night. If that dude gets hot, your team could be in for a rough night. And so I've said, there's been talks about, who's that best player in the NBA. I'm sorry, man. I've said for the longest time, it's Jokic. Like, people can disagree if they want, but in my opinion, Jokic is the best player in the NBA as of right now. He's right there.
I think all around player, he's probably the best. That's just let's leave it at that. I think all around best.
I would say maybe the Rockets might be concerning a little bit, but the only reason I'm not saying the Rockets is because outside of Kevin Durant,
right,
they don't really have a lot of scoring. So if Kevin Durant has a rough night, the Rockets are really not going to win. So,
and if you look at it against, they end up against San Antonio. You just put Wemby on Durant and their team's toast.
Yeah, as much as I want to say the Rockets, and I'm not saying the Rockets are a bad team, but I'm saying that team goes as Kevin Durant goes. And if Kevin Durant
100%.
has a bad night, the Rockets are not winning. That's just that's what it is. And Kevin Durant has even stated that before. He said, "Oh, if I have a bad night, we're gonna lose." And I was like, "It's the truth. Durant is off. The Rockets are done for." And I think, again, right now, I don't think they're going to be good enough to make a deep playoff run. They're just not. They're gonna go against tough teams that have that is a great defensive team, and they're not going to have enough.
Right.
So, all right. Well, that was our NBA talk for the evening. J-Mac, I know this next conversation, this might make you a little bit happy too, because we're talking about the NCAA March Madness. Now, the cool thing is that I do want to say is not only on the men's side, but also on the women's side, UConn is still in both of them. They're both sides are in the Final Four. Now, it's only been done twice in the history of college basketball for the same school on the men's and women's side to win the championship, and UConn did it both times. They're the only college to ever do it. Now, what's your thoughts on the possibility of this happening again? Now, no, on the women's side, UConn's is going to have to go through a very, very tough South Carolina team, and they've been averaging. South Carolina has been steamrolling a lot of teams. Like they've been. If you look at the averages, because they've scored over 100 points in their first 2, and then they scored 90 in their third one, and then they scored 70. I believe it was like 76 in their fourth one. So you combine those out, and they're pretty dang close to averaging over 90 plus points a game, and on the women's side of the bracket. So even with you being a UConn fan, does South Carolina in the women's bracket concern you?
Well, yeah, I mean that's you got to be concerned about that a team that scores that much, but I mean, I read a stat today that I didn't even know. As diehard of a UConn fan as I am, I wasn't even aware of this. But did you know that every year from 2006 to 2026, either the men's or women's or both of them have been in the Final Four in the NCAA for 20 consecutive years for UConn?
That's crazy. I did not know that. That's
I saw that today. That's nuts. And look back in history all you want. I guarantee there's no other school that can say they're anywhere close to that number.
No, I don't think so. It's going to be very intriguing to see if it can happen a third time. However, my prediction, and don't be hating on this, but I don't think on the women's side again, I don't think that they're going to get through South Carolina. I think South Carolina actually ends up winning it all. In the men's bracket, however, I do see UConn getting past Illinois. The thing is I do see Arizona beating Michigan, and I know that is going to be a very, very tough game for UConn if they ended up playing Arizona.
I think it's worse if we play Michigan, to be honest. If Arizona beats Michigan, then UConn's I won't say it's a foregone conclusion, but we match up way better with Arizona than we do Michigan. So if Arizona's in it, I give UConn a way better chance of winning the championship than against Michigan. So
the first time I've heard you say,
because honestly, Duke was going to be the hardest test, and they threw the game away at the end, and there was some screaming going on at my house. That's all I can say when they hit that 3-pointer at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I know you are not a Duke fan at all.
No. It's even sweeter that it was against Duke. Let me say that. Even sweeter that it was against Duke.
right. Yeah. That makes it for you. Yeah, you can say it's twice as sweet because of like how much you despise Duke. Because I know we kind of talked about that, and you said that was like one of those teams that you would never root for, like
never,
like no matter what.
No.
But I know that Duke and UConn game, that game was a roller coaster. So it was.
No, I thought it was over. Like Duke was up by 19 points with 15 minutes to go. I'm like, this game's over. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to go do something else. And then I just watched a little more and started making a small comeback, and then it's 2 points, and we're getting down to the end where it's just fouling and free throws, and then 72-70, Duke throws the ball in. I'm like, there's no way he's going to make that full court pass right here. And then he did, and we tipped the ball, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's the last, I will say, since the Sweet 16, it's gotten better.
100%.
It's gotten a lot better because the first 2 rounds for me this year, I'm like, oh, they were kind of boring. But once it got to the Sweet 16, I'm like, okay, now we're actually getting some good college basketball going on right now. So I can't wait when we do another show to see if both UConn teams are going to be in the championship again, and I can't, and that'll be just bizarre if you go UConn does it again, and the only school to ever do it, and it may not only be twice, but it could end up being 3 times.
Yep.
That is quite, I will say that is quite the achievement right there to be able to say that.
Well, I can tell you that the two guys that never pay for anything in Stores, Connecticut are Dan Hurley and Gio Ariema. They never pay for anything in Stores, Connecticut.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
it's
the head coach of the men's team and the women's team, I guarantee they pay for not a damn thing in Stores, Connecticut.
Absolutely. And both, so I believe both those games, I know the women's bracket, those games are on the 3rd. Is it the same for, yeah, and then the men's is on the 4th. So
yep.
you have the 3rd and the 4th. So we'll be able to see UConn take on South Carolina and the women's side on the 3rd. And then UConn will take on Illinois and the men's side on the 4th to see if this is indeed has a chance of happening again. So I can't wait to tune in. I think they're going to be some great games. All right. Going into our next one, MLB. So like we were talking about before, we're only 6 games for some teams in the MLB season. I know one thing that we're going to talk about with this, because we had some of our own opinions when it comes to this, is we know that this is the first year that they've decided to use the ABS automated ball strike zone. It's been interesting because it's like you can challenge. If you win the challenge, you get to keep it. So basically, if you keep winning, you just get unlimited. Like you can keep going. I challenge. If you lose it, technically you only get 2. I've seen it kind of go. It's kind of been all over the place. It's been very, very interesting. So,
well,
good, because I know you had something. I know you had something to say on it. So
I have a lot to say on that. First off, pitchers shouldn't be allowed to challenge. Pitchers have gotten 41% of their challenges right. Okay, pitchers when they land, they're at a different angle. There's no way a pitcher can, from the time it leaves his hand until it crosses home plate, he's in so many different positions. There's no way he can tell where the pitch is. Pitchers are not going to be able to get a call overturned. Catchers are number 1. Catchers are almost 60% on their challenges. And then batters are right about 50-50. I think it's like 54%. But catchers are the ones that know where the ball is. Like catchers are the ones that are going to challenge the place. What I have seen with catchers is the one thing about catchers that I like is they're challenging the ones that are more egregious. When they're an inch or more off the plate, they're winning those challenges. The ones with the batters that honestly are driving me insane, like I can't stand it when a batter does it, is when the ball misses by 1/10 of an inch. Like, come on. How are you going to see that as an umpire behind the plate, that it's 1/10 of an inch below the zone? Right? Why are we even allowing challenges on those? Those are the ones that drive me crazy. Like 1/10 of an inch, that's just nuts to me. That we're challenging stuff for 1/10 of an inch. Now, CB Buckner the other day missed 8 calls, and they were all by an inch or more. Okay, dude deserves to be called out during a game because he missed by a lot. But when you're talking about a ball that may have grazed the strike zone but barely missed by 1/10 of an inch, should we really be overturning that call? or should we just give the benefit of the doubt to the umpire? Those are the ones that, and I get we can't. It's not a perfect science, and we can't decide what's challengeable and what's not with a pitch, but that drives me nuts.
No, which I do agree with you. I just think what I think is neat is that as I'm watching these games, it's like you see to where it's like as you're watching it in live time, you're like, well, that's gonna be close on whether or not that's gonna be a ball or strike. And then you see a catcher go, yep, I challenge. And then you look at the challenge and the ball just clips the strike zone. And they go, yep, it's overturned, it's a strike. I'm like, that is crazy, because it's like they're guessing, and it's like, how do you know that? It's because it's like that freaking close, and it's like Salvador Perez. If you remember in the series against the Braves, Perez was getting everything. Like every challenge, he's like, "Yep, I challenge. Oh, I got it right. Oh, I challenge. I got it right." And I'm like, dude. But then again, Perez has been in the league for 15 years.
Well, more than that, catcher is the hardest position in baseball. Like you have to not only do you have to be able to catch the ball coming at you 100 miles an hour, you have to watch for the break. So you have to be able to move to catch the ball so it doesn't get by you. You have to be able to command a pitching staff. So you have to know all your pitchers and what their pitches are and which ones to call at what time. Then you have to watch the runners. You have to guide all of the – so catcher is the hardest position in baseball. It's also the one position that translates the best to being a manager. That's why so many catchers are great managers, because they've already managed the game for so long on all of those. So it doesn't surprise me much that catchers are that good at pinpointing when it's a ball or a strike. But I think hitters ask for too many challenges, and pitchers should never challenge, because most pitchers are not at the same eye level and can't see the pitch when it goes over the plate. So,
hey, and I agree with you. That's why this year you haven't really seen, from what I've seen so far, I have not personally seen a lot of pitchers actually challenge. It's mainly been the batters or catchers, because they do have the better vision spot, because they're right there. I personally haven't seen a lot of the pitchers challenge. So,
but yeah,
you know,
I think it's only been 13 or 14 challenges from pitchers, but they've only gotten like 5 right. They are not hitting at 50%, because again, you're throwing the ball 10 inches higher than the plate, and when it comes down, your body's coming down, like you're already lower than where you let the ball go. So how can you really tell where it goes over the plate?
Yeah. Well, speaking, so kind of going away from ABS a little bit, and kind of talking about the MLB, and being 5 or 6 games in, I start seeing certain fan bases already kind of freaking out, being like, oh, I thought we were going to be, a good team this year. Like the Tigers are sitting at 2-2. And, I've got some friends that are Tigers fans, and like, oh, I thought we were going to be, I'm like, it's 4 games in the season. It's 4 games.
Well,
you
have the opposite of that, right? So you have the opposite of, as Braves fans, what did we hear about going into the season? Your starting rotation is going to be your weak spot. Our first 4 pitchers gave up 6 runs in the first 4 starts of the season. They pitched 27 innings and gave up, 5 runs in 27 innings as the first 4 starters?
It was just the 5th rotation spot. That right now we don't have a 5th guy.
Okay, but anyway, so it was like doom's going to happen. You're 3-2 after 5 games, and you got your ace coming back to the mound tomorrow. Like, again, it's early in the season, and who are we getting back? I mean, you still got Kim to come back. You still got Murphy to come back. You're still going to get Strider back sometime this year. You still got all these guys coming back. You can hover around 500 by the All-Star break. You can still make a run for the playoffs, and that's any team. I'm not just talking Atlanta. I'm talking any team in baseball. Your goal going into the All-Star break should be to be 500 or just above
Absolutely.
it, because then you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
still make a run to make the playoffs, and you can hover around 500 with 2 or 3 good starters and a pretty good lineup. So guys that are freaking out after 5 or 6 games, honestly, they don't understand baseball if that's what they're doing.
Well, I do want to say this though. I do want to throw this out there because again, I'm in a chat with a lot of various baseball fans, and I know I know a few people who are Marlins fans, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, right now we're sitting number 1 in the East at 4-1." And I'm like, "All right, can I throw something out there for you really really quick? Your first 2 series have been against who? They've been against the Rockies, and now you're playing the White Sox.
Right.
So somebody has to win those games. And so I'm just saying, and we had the Rockies pegged at potentially the worst team in baseball this season. And the White Sox were right there too. They were sitting at like 27th or 28th. So congratulations. You're playing 2 of the worst teams in MLB to start the season.
Well, yeah, you had the you had the White Sox, who in their first 3 games gave up 29 runs to the Brewers in a 3-game series.
Yeah, and I was talking to Dave. He stopped over the other day, and Dave's a White Sox fan, so we're sitting there and we're talking, and he's like, yep, he's like, my White Sox in the first game this year broke a record. He said it wasn't a good record, but we broke a record. We struck out 20 times in the first. I'm like, that's 20 times in the first game of the season. You're striking out.
Yeah, I will say though, even though fans shouldn't be freaking out, I concern's not the word, but intriguing. It was intriguing that in the first 3 games of the year, the Giants only scored 1 run in 3 games.
Intriguing.
That's definitely intriguing. Like, you had 3 games over the first weekend of the year, and you scored 1 run combined in 3 games. That's unheard of, because the next closest team was the Royals, who scored 6.
Yeah,
So,
right, yeah.
To score 1 run in a 3-game series, that's not good, no matter what time of year it is.
It's not good. It's just right now, for anybody, who watches Sportsman or whatever, right now it's a little hard to sit here and say, oh, who's the biggest surprise to start the season? Who's the biggest disappointment? Because you're so early in the season that it's like, right now there's really no big surprises and no disappointments because it's so early in the season. Now let's say you come around to the first month. You can then be like,
Sure.
Okay, so after the first month, the biggest disappointment is and the biggest surprise is.
Well, I will tell you right now, for the biggest disappointment, one guy that's on that short list for me is the first baseman from the Athletics, Nick Kurtz.
Oh yeah.
The guy's had 17 at bats and he's had 17 at bats this year and struck out 12 times. That's not good.
No, that's not. No, that's not. So if we're talking about individual players, understandable. But I mean, but what's so hard about that too is look at Paul Skeens. His first outing, he got rocked. He didn't even make it out of the first inning in his first start. So it's
and we know he'll be fine. But yeah.
He'll be fine.
I was just pointing out, please don't become a Nick Kurtz and strike out 12 times in the first 17 at bats, because that's not a good omen for the season.
No, it's not. It's just I think eventually Nick Kurtz is going to get it right. He's coming off of Rookie of the Year in the AL, so he's going to get it right. So he'll get it right. All right. So going into our final topic of the evening, and yes, J Mac, I do have a video for us. And when I saw this one, I'm like, you know what? This is a very, very interesting video. This one to me was actually an interesting one, and I will show you that why in a minute when I bring this video, because this one actually deals. So just to kind of give you kind of a heads up of what this one is. So this one is actually about baseball and then interference. So whether or not interference should have been called on this one.
And let's watch it.
So the catcher argues interference, but does he deserve a warning? So not on this one. So he makes the first one right there.
Nope.
He's claiming interference right there. Now, if you see what the catcher's saying, he's looking at the umpire saying the batter stepped out. He stepped out. So that's why the catcher was asking for interference, saying he stepped out. I went to throw it, and the batter stepped out. He didn't go directly down. He went out that way.
Show me the line.
Huh?
Show me the line.
The line should be
right. I'm not asking you to show me the line. Here's my interpretation as an umpire. If you can prove to me that he stepped out of the box, show me the line and show me where his footprint is, I'll call interference. If you are the home team, especially the home team in this situation, and you didn't chalk the lines before the game, and there's no line for you to show me that he stepped out of the batter's box, how do you want me to call interference? There's no evidence proving that he interfered with the play.
Yeah, and so when I and the umpire said, I do not have interference. I do not have an interference. And then the catcher's saying he stepped right here. He stepped right here. So if you go back and look, he's showing him, okay, he stepped right here.
I get it. I understand what he's saying completely.
Yeah.
But you have to it's just like when a guy bobbles a ball in the outfield and you're like, show me the ball to prove that you caught it. In this case right here, show me the line, show me where he stepped out of the batter's box, and I'll give you interference. If the line's not there, I can't call something that I didn't see.
Yeah, and so for me, when I even watch it in live time, and I'm watching it too, and I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't see interference. I don't see it, because maybe he does take a little bit of a step, but he also ducks down when he's taking that step. So that
100%.
So to me, I'm like, no, I personally didn't see it, because if you go back, so the first one is obviously isn't. It's right there. He's good. Here comes the next one. Ball in the dirt. Bam. So tell me when you're watching that, where is he taking that? Where is he stepping out?
I mean, so his front foot, he does step.
Yeah, no, I get that. He takes one step, but he steps to the side, but he didn't like move his whole body. He took a step.
Right.
And then he ducked down. So to me, I'm like, I don't see interference.
Now, could he be out of the box? Yes, but there's no line for you to prove to me that he's out of the box. So as an umpire here, I can only call what I see. I can only make a judgment call off what I see. And what I see is no interference, because there's no proof that he stepped out of the batter's box. You can say all you want that he stepped out, or he stepped back, or he stepped into the way, but there's no way for you to prove that, no way for me to see it as an umpire. So I'm going to say I got nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And if you watch that, that's exactly what this umpire said. He said, I do not have interference. He said he stepped out, and now he said he stepped right here. Now, again, there's no lines.
There's no line. There's no line. You can't prove something that's not there.
Yeah, that's what.
That's the long and the short of it, right? Everyone sits and says, "Well, that's a bad call." Maybe it was maybe it wasn't the right call to make. But in the moment, you have to make these decisions in the moment, right? We don't. When we're doing these high school and Babe Ruth and Little League games, we don't have video. We don't have video evidence we can go back and look at. Okay, I'm making a call on the fly. There's no evidence showing me that he stepped out of the batter's box because there's no line to prove it. So,
yes, and
in this case,
and we don't have time to sit there and think about it.
Right.
We're just immediately making the call, like boom, that's the call.
So in this case, I got nothing. And that would be my call. That's exactly what I would say. And if the coach came out and asked, I'd say the same thing. I got nothing. Show me where he stepped out. There's no proof that he stepped out of the batter's box.
Because there is no batter's box.
Because there's no batter's box.
You can't prove that he stepped out of a batter's box if it's not there. Right. And so that's why when I saw this, I wanted to show it because this one to me was intriguing because I know that some of the comments were there and the umpire even says wasn't even close.
It can't be close.
wasn't even close.
It can't be because there's nothing to prove that it was.
Yeah. No, I get it. And so, that's why we came up with this topic because I think for people who don't officiate, who don't umpire, when they're watching this, now they're seeing kind of from the umpire's perspective, saying this is what we're seeing back there. So this is why we call the things that we call. You may not
Absolutely.
like it, but the call is the call, and that's what it is.
100%.
Now I guarantee you're going to have some people out there that are going to be like, that was interference. Okay, well, that was your call.
Cool. And we have an umpire shortage. Would you like to sign up an umpire the next game?
Exactly. So there you go. Their judgment calls, you can only call what you see.
What? Exactly.
All right. So we are at that time now to our show is basically coming to an end. So J-Mac, any final thoughts for you tonight about anything that we covered so far?
Let's go UConn. Let's make it a three-peat. Let's make it three times. Let's do it.
Well, by next week, we will know by our show next week if we have both UConn teams in there. All 100%. Right. So with that being said, we do want to thank everybody who will be tuning in. Don't forget next week we will have the Wheel of Doom up and ready to go for our first official week standing to see where everyone is sitting with the Wheel of Doom. So with that, we hope everybody has a fantastic night, and we will see you all next time for another episode of Sports Minute. Have a good night.
See ya.